Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our third webinar. Thank you for joining us. I hope you and your families are well wherever you are. This is the third call in part of this Emerging Needs of Children series that we're hosting, and it's lovely to see many people joining us for the third time. Many people have been part of all of our webinars so far. Thank you for your support. We're glad this was something useful we were able to pull together for the community. My name is Romana. I'm your host for today, along with two of my friends and colleagues. This series is brought to you by three of our organizations. Myself, I represent Kizazi. We're a global network that supports partnership schools, so schools that are working with governments in different parts of the developing world. Mary Ellen from Athma, that supports NGOs as they set up and they scale up, and Saurabh, who leads the Akanksha Foundation that works across 20 schools in Bombay and Pune. So on this call, Saurabh and I will be your moderators. We will host and just guide and flow the webinar through. And Mary will be supporting us on tech. So if you have tech difficulties, or we do as a group, Mary Ellen will guide us through that. We also have some other team members, Sanjana, who will be helping us with our screen sharing and also supporting on tech, and Ruchi, who's our chat host. So we're very excited to bring this third session to you. We've had two sessions already. The purpose of this series was really during this emergency phase. A lot of us, including many of us on the call, were really were feeling a need to respond to the crisis, and we were feeling a need to respond urgently in many ways. We identified a couple of topics that people wanted to hear about, wanted to share practice about. So the first two calls we had were around well-being of children, where we talked about different strategies and resources that can be sent to children or done with children to just help them release some of the anxiety that they might be going through, help parents just manage their emotions. Our call last week was the first part of virtual learning. We looked at network-enabled virtual learning last week, and today we're going to continue around virtual learning solutions, but focusing today on really serving children and communities where network is not possible. So where there is no internet access, or maybe even mobile phone technology. Our last call is one that we've further collaborated with Arpan, a Bombay-based NGO, is helping us pull together this last session that we're doing, the fourth one. And this one is focusing on safeguarding of children at high risk. It's going to be a slightly different format, and it's going to focus on on all aspects of what we need to think about when we think about children at high risk right now. And this will be on a Friday, not a Wednesday. So just wanted to give some of you that heads up in case you'd like to join us for the fourth session as well. Inviting our first speaker. So I'd like to invite Ashish Srivastav. We did the Teach for India Fellowship together. So know Ashish off and on for a long time now. I've been very inspired by his life choices to move and to work in Sukma in Maharashtra, and really get a lot of insight from him on the challenges and the difference in really working with children in more difficult geographies, probably the majority of our country. So very excited to invite Ashish to really just set the context for us, share with us the bigger picture of really what it means to reach every child and every family in the country. What are some of the challenges in that pursuit, and what are some things that we can think about? So Ashish, over to you.
Thanks, Romana. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ashish here, and just a small correction. I work in Chhattisgarh, Sukma, and I am working with conflict-affected children. And it's very interesting. I was just looking at the poll response, and 64% of the participants in this conversation are from urban areas. So, and I am somebody who has mostly been working in rural and tribal areas. So my context is around then how can folks in urban areas really help us while we bring in a lot of challenge. And I belong to the 12% category where I'm not able to reach out to our children. We have not been in touch with anybody, and uh, and any kind of education delivery is not functioning. And our major areas of concern have been around how education is going to change in rural and tribal context. With a lot of technology coming in, what does it imply here? But just to set up a context, I'll share a small deck that we had prepared after an exercise where 30 organizations across different geographies in India, and all of them working in remote geographies, came together and shared their current challenges and current scenario. And it's a very insightful, and it might give some view on what offline delivery would look like. First of all, uh, I would also like to share the definition of online and offline. In many conversations that we had, a common feedback was that the entire definition of offline and online is also very, very relative to where the person is based out of. And if a person is based out of a metro location, the online medium is the video calling medium, and the offline medium is WhatsApp and SMS. But if the person is based out of a rural or tribal geography, the online medium is the WhatsApp, and SMS is also an online medium. And offline is technically literally offline. You can't reach out in any way possible. And would just share some statistics around that purely from the point of view of what offline actually looks like, and primarily in rural geographies. A small deck. The deck has been prepared for what is happening with rural organizations, but it also gives a perspective on what is happening with organizations who are working in an offline mode and who don't have access to technology as of now. And it gives a good insight, although might not be relevant for organizations working in urban spaces, but still, what does offline mean is something that will be very useful over here. As of now, across India, we had 30 organizations who had participated, and I'm sharing this because it gives a good empirical evidence, belonging to 16 states, and it covers most of the areas apart from Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Telangana. So first of all, what is the perspective for the children, in rural geographies, of children who don't have access to technology, who are not getting access to any kind of learning opportunity? The confusion is this summer holidays, especially in the northern part of the country. When is the school going to open? Parents mostly are working daily wage laborers or belong to the low income groups. They're finding it difficult to adjust. They're finding it difficult to manage the children at home. Their primary area of concern is around survival, and there has been a lot of cluelessness around what are they supposed to do. And from the government system, the confusion has been around how do they support our schools. Wherever the technology is accessible, they have been using it, but in other cases, it has been a difficult terrain till now. And there's a lot of uncertainty. I live in Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh, we don't know whether the schools will open in August or September. Until that, nothing is happening on the ground actually. Just giving you some scale. This is the number of children as per UNESCO that are being affected because of the countrywide school closure. and it's a pretty scary place. Now, how does it look like in rural and tribal areas? Again, as I said, it's very different. Remote geographies. There are organizations who are from Assam, Majuli Islands, Ladakh, the lower Shivaliks in Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha tribal areas, MP tribal areas, Bihar conflict affected areas. We have Ravi from one of those who will be talking about their experience on the ground. And the primary focus still now in those cases has been around contextual education. How do we teach the same universal concepts in a very contextually relevant way and engaging way. Now, these are the key findings for people in remote geographies. 40% of the population only 40% has internet access. It doesn't mean that they have an Android phone or a smartphone that they can use, but the internet access is there, which means if we count in the number of people who don't have a smartphone to avail those services, the online services, the percentage would be far less. 65% of the population has mobile network access, which means they can do basic calling and SMS facilities. Financially, it's the scenario across geographies, be it urban, rural. Organizations are being forced to lay off employees. Donation cancellations are happening. Financially, it's a very tight situation, and everybody is struggling. Most of the focus areas in organizations working in rural geographies and who work in a offline delivery mode has been around school transformation, curriculum development, contextualizing basically, livelihood skill development, social emotional learning, tribal education, girls education, and in tribal areas, dropout children, out of school children who either don't have access to school education or who have dropped out because the schools were not engaging enough. Now, the current interventions that came over at a broader perspective to ensure the continuity is there, to ensure that the children are learning, is first of all, obviously digital learning content are being shared with parents or directly with children. A lot of organizations have been relying on parents as partners in learning. Also, community leaders, a lot of organizations have roped in local community champions who are helping in the learning for the child. Teachers are taking remote classes. Chhattisgarh government, for example, has launched their own web portal where teachers, they have created virtual schools with 100 children each, and they're conducting classes around that. Uh, television, radio, internet, phone calls are some other mediums. iSaksham, Ravi would be talking about phone calls, how they are leveraging phone calls to conduct classes, and their team is actually working round the clock, conducting phone calls, teaching children, taking assessments, taking feedbacks, and digital learning content. A lot of leading organizations, Room to Read, Pratham, Sampark Foundation, and a number of the established organizations have very quickly adapted to the situation, created digital content, and have been sharing across WhatsApp and YouTube and other mediums. However, interestingly, 4 out of the popular 5 interventions are not available in rural geographies because of lack to access to technology. We don't have internet access. Television, radio is a difficult thing. Not everybody, not everywhere it is possible. Teachers cannot take remote classes. The only thing that most of the organizations have been doing has been relying on parents and community champions as partners. They are community volunteers who are conducting classes. Parents are being roped in. In fact, UNICEF, for example, has launched a program called Seek, and there's another program that they have launched. There are couple of programs that they've launched, and it is entirely being run by community and Anganwadi workers in rural and tribal areas where technology is not possible. Some of the organizations have been trying to distribute worksheets for the children to practice, develop mastery over whatever they have learned, but mostly it has been a community driven approach. And COVID-19 fortunately has re-established the relevance of community-based organizations. A lot of organizations, initiatives have emerged in the past few years who had been working at systemic level, who had been talking about systemic transformation. However, with COVID-19 coming in, the community-based organizations, the grassroots organizations have regained that. So this was the last one that I was sharing, that of all the current mechanisms being implemented to make education accessible for children, 4 out of the 5 are not working in geographies which have lack of technology access. And so everybody is relying on parents and community leaders as partners in learning. I mean, iSaksham is a classic example of how it is being done. Shamtale is a classic example of how it is being done. In Chhattisgarh also, Anganwadi Karyakarta, Anganwadi workers are helping a lot, but that is in early childhood education, but then yeah, they have been doing their role. And some of the suggested ways that people have recommended has been, as Vivek said, I was able to hear Vivek on and off. So as Vivek was saying, developing contextual content. So more than the content, context is important. So this is one possible way forward. Partnership with local panchayat. Vivek mentioned integrating the democratic structure of the country using Sarpanch and Ward Panch. So partnership with the local panchayat, home delivery of learning kits, physical learning kits, using local community youth, community-based organizations. The problem that most of the people have identified has been in 3 categories. First, access to technology. Second, access to device. And as Vivek shared, it has been empirically proved that access to data is also coming to be an issue even in urban areas. And a lot of civil society organizations have been requesting donors to give grant for mobile data for their beneficiaries. And suddenly mobile data, internet data has become one of the fundraising components. So yeah, the rest all is a generic pitch. So I'll open up what we have been doing. So building upon what Vivek and Ravi have shared, the gap will widen. If I have to give an example, Chhattisgarh government created a platform, learning platform, where the teachers are co-creating content and conducting virtual schools. The problem is that platform is only accessible to 30% of the children in the entire state. 70% are still not availing those services. Now, the problem is the government has started celebrating it as a success that we have created a response to COVID-19 situation. And in that celebration, the 70% is being forgotten. And most of the organizations working in such rural geographies have the concern that while we celebrate EdTech as the next saving grace, a significant amount of population will be left behind and the gap will widen. So while all of us are working in education, what we call it Teach for India's education inequity, the inequity will increase. And the idea is how do we reduce it? How do we bridge the gap? The challenge of bridging the gap will be much more higher now. And over there, then comes the relevance of local resources like panchayat, community workers, parents in areas where parents can support, and what are the different modes of education delivery. Offline TV, radio, phone is there. Shamtale has been doing it in Rajasthan, Kotra. We checked it in Chhattisgarh. FM radio doesn't function in most of the districts in states like Chhattisgarh. So you are then dependent on All India Radio, Vivid Bharati. And to do a 20-minute program, they charge 60,000 rupees, which is technically not feasible for a civil society organization. Only a government as an organization can do it. So radio has not been a significant option. Television is a very viable option, has the greatest reach, but then in tribal communities, everybody doesn't have television. But then, yeah, if it's a community-led model, it can still be feasible. something similar to what Shamtale has been doing, working with groups of 5, which is possible in there. However, community volunteers play a significant role. We can't ridicule the importance of teachers. Another threat that people have shared, another concern that people have shared with technology becoming a prominent solution, the relevance of teacher and the relevance of a teacher-student relationship will be at stake. And it can never work, especially when we talk about the socio-emotional learning and the emotional cognitive development of a child. And these are some of the concerns that people have raised. Uh, as an organization, what we have been working on as a philosophy has been, first, how do you contextualize the content suiting to the community? How do you create personalized learning solutions? Online platforms like Coursera, Udemy, edX, they all are personalized learning platforms. Offline, there are not much personalized learning opportunity. It's still a 1 to 30 teacher pupil ratio scenario. So how do we introduce personalized learning opportunity? The the third one is a question that we have been trying to answer, and we have been working on developing some solution around that, is how can a literate or a semi-literate or a illiterate parent support the learning journey of a child. So a lot of us are talking about community ownership, parent engagement, but what are the tools that a parent would be more helpful and comfortable working with? For example, if a parent goes to a bank and wants to withdraw 500 rupees, the parent's sixth grade child should be able to write the number and amount and in words and write the account number. And if the child is not able to do that, the parent can go back to the teacher and ask the teacher, what are you teaching my child? He's not able to withdraw a simple 500 rupees from the bank or do a simple transaction in the rural market. Among all these, what we have also learned has been that collective and collaborative action will be the key, especially in offline, to reduce the operations cost, to reduce the delivery cost. So one of the component is reusing content. There is no need to create for every organization to create their own content. We as an organization have been practicing that for 5 years now. We reuse a lot of existing content that is available in the market, and however, these all scenarios are only catering to primary classes or upper primary, 1st to 8th. For secondary classes, it is still a concern, and to be very honest, I don't have any answer, and I have not been able to find any convincing solution on how do you address that challenge in secondary classes. There are very limited digital content as well for secondary classes. I mean, you have Khan Academy, you have Byju's. Byju's is not affordable to even to the middle class families. It's extremely costly. Khan Academy, again, you're dependent on the technology. What we have been doing, just will share. So first of all, we have been digitizing content. We have been using stories and converting them into local languages. So this is a glimpse of a story. It's the local tribal dialect using Devanagari script. Tribal dialects, they don't have script, so we use Devanagari script to do that, and we are creating these story books. We are using a couple of technology platforms. One of them is Story Weaver by Pratham Books, which helps you get a lot of illustrations free of cost. You can create your own stories, or you can translate existing stories into your local languages as well. And the next version of this will be doing read aloud audio sessions of these stories and share it through WhatsApp, offline content or Bluetooth content. So we will be using a lot of Bluetooth to share that content in villages. So this is one. We had already done a series of read aloud, but that was not really helpful for children in Sukma. It was a video, YouTube read aloud videos. The second thing that we are working right now immediately is creating learning kits. These learning kits, again, as Ravi was saying, alternate academic calendar. This is not, I mean, this is also an alternate learning kit. And the idea is how do you take learning, the opportunity for learning to children who are not able to access technology or who don't have access to any kind of formal school education. Education learning always happens. The kid is learning even if their teacher is not there. They're villages, they're in the forest, they're learning something or other. And we have been creating these worksheets, and this is the first kit that we have already distributed in a couple of villages, and we'll be distributing it to 5,000 kids. It's a combination of language, Hindi, English, Hindi, maths, local language based content, puzzles, Sudoku. Some of it has been developed in-house. Some of it has been developed, has been taken from existing work done by organizations like Eklavya or Pratham. So it's a, and we formally share the credit with them. The disclaimer is that a lot of content has been reused. So by doing that, we are saving a lot of effort in content design, and we are just assimilating the content and ensuring that it is delivered. So I'll just share, it's entirely in Hindi. Even the English part is in Hindi. But then yeah, it has been quite, the response has been quite good till now. So they're simple things. I mean, so simple. This is the handbook that has been created for grade 1 or to grade 3 children, and the focus is not right now for them to learn a new concept, but the focus has been to retain what they have already learned, or to develop mastery over the content that they have already learned. In tribal areas, in areas like Sukma, a 2-month gap in schooling leads to a 6-month gap in learning outcome. So the more this lockdown and the more this COVID-19 scenario extends, the gap in learning outcome is definitely going to widen. And our priority as an organization has been, how do we ensure that the children are able to at least practice whatever they have learned in innovative, fun ways, things that they're challenged with. So simple dotted pictures, easily available on internet. This is a local language content. We are integrating Hindi alphabets with local language and pictures. This is all contextualized. These are things that are available in their villages, and they use it on a daily basis. Counting. So say we are happy to share these kits. Simple puzzles for the children. The thing is, children in government schools are not exposed to first of all worksheets. Private school children do have worksheets. Parents buy it for them, or the school provides them workbooks. Government schools, they don't have worksheets, and they don't have such kind of experiences where they can use what Vivek was sharing, different parts of the brain. It's still very monotonous when it comes to the education delivery in government school, and especially in rural and tribal areas. So we are exposing them to these different ideas, which they can use with. And yeah, the basic 1 to 3, we are creating worksheets for 1st to 3, 4th to 6th, and 7th, 8th, based on their level. Again, this is a contextualized sheet mapping a local tribal word with the local resources. So this is mango, this is tamarind. These things are available in their villages, and the children know these things, so they can practice the language skills. So these are basically the 3 things that we have been doing: contextual content practice sheets, stories, and community tools for the community to travel. And as part of these learning kits, we will be creating multidisciplinary projects. So a 7-day project for the child with respect to their livelihood, or with respect to their village. So let's say this is a season where a lot of tribal families collect tamarind and they sell it. So the entire economics behind that tamarind can be part of the integrated project for the child, where they practice science, maths, language, everything. And they create some project, or creating a village map. You create your village map and mark every household, how many children. So it's a learning. So we are creating those worksheets as well for the children, so that while they are still away from the school, the learning doesn't stop, and it is contextual, and it up to an extent empowers the parents and the community to help the child in their learning journey in the villages. So yeah, this is it, that what we have been doing. It's the last resort. We tried television, we tried radio, we don't have access to internet, we don't have mobile phones, and we have around 70,000 children in this one particular district who are not accessing any kind of formal school education services.
So our first speaker is again gonna help us think about this at scale and think about more mainstream solutions, not necessarily mainstream education, but how other industries can come together. So Sukna works at Sesame Workshop India, and a lot of Sesame has worked to create content that is specific to COVID and that is specific. It's always been very, very child friendly, Sesame cartoons. But really, in response to the COVID emergency, Sukna will talk to us about what has been made available by Sesame and how they are using it in mainstream media. So over to you, Sukna.
Great. So thank you for having me here. Thank you and congratulations to the organizers for this great initiative. And thank you to everybody who's here. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Perfect. So I'll start off with what Sesame Workshop does. We are a trusted voice as the world's largest informal educator. We're watched in more than 150 countries. In about 16 countries, we have the content is created in 16 countries. We're reaching out to almost an international audience of 156 million children. We essentially work with children in the age group under 8 years. Sesame Workshop India is leading. Sesame Workshop India is leading the movement to change educational paradigm through innovative projects, on-ground work with communities, with parents, with teachers, and other stakeholders. The way we work is that we partner with organizations to implement our programs and distribute our content online. Everything is very child-centered, child-facing materials, and we've reached over 5 million children since 2007 by partnering with different profit, non-profit organizations, corporate sector, and government. So very quickly about early childhood care and education, all of us over here know that the prime time of the brain development is before the age of 5. The kind of experiences provided, the kind of stimulation provided, the kind of environment provided has a lifelong impact on the child, where you have to focus on the early years to make sure that the development throughout the lifespan is holistic, is profound. Even with this background and context, ECC and ECCD is still underplayed. It receives less attention. There are limited efforts to deal with children, to reach out to them, to educate and respond to their needs, especially in times of this Corona COVID crisis. These slides, I'm going to just skim over all of these. We reach out, we follow up multi-system approach, follow the ecosystem approach. We go into the community through various ways, including mobile, including television as a platform, radio, planning home visits, distributing print content. So the strategy of reaching out is a multi-platform, multifaceted one, which goes beyond just looking at a singular approach to reach children. I'll skip over this. It should be available to all of you eventually. Okay. Talking about, and the context has been very well set in by Ashish, the status of young children during this Corona crisis is really something that needs a lot of attention. Children have lost out on their connection with the ECC, ECD centers, preschool centers. They have lost out on their surrogate caregivers in the form of teachers who were reaching out to them, who were responding to their needs. There is an added burden on the families to balance childcare responsibilities. They are compounded by economic instability, social isolation in many cases, and all this becomes a ground for a lot of toxic stress. Mostly parents may not have the patience, they may not have the skills, they may not have the time, or they may not have the resources to even engage with young children. Children at this point of time have lost important social interactions, time with others. The focus has shifted completely to a virtual background. And there, let's just say that there is no substitute for group play, for activities, for stimulation, and other skills that are developed beyond the screen into the real world environment. The risks for some of the more disadvantaged, vulnerable children are far greater. They live in crowded contexts. The medical systems are very weak. They have lost on health services, nutritional supplementation programs, greater risk of abuse, neglect, and violence as well. The parents are further at a deprived capacity to deal with them. That can result in extensive exposure to prolonged toxic stress. There have been a lot of unprecedented changes, uncertainty, especially for children with unique needs, children with special needs, children who are separated from their families, children of migrant labor, children who are living in rural areas, children who are living in hilly and other far located areas where network issues are there. With this shift in approach from center-based learning to going into more virtual platform, the fear is that would we miss out on the last mile for children who do not have access to the internet, children who do not have access to a lot of technology? Could they be the ones, would they be the worst sufferers of all time? The other part of this is that even while all of us as at an organizational level, all of us are coming together, we're pooling in our resources, the language diversity of what is available is still very limited. We must understand that ECCE, ECCD, the age group 0 to 8, the focus is on learning in the mother tongue. And most of our content is either available in Hindi and English, and a lot of the languages are therefore left out. This is bound to have a far-reaching impact, and this is bound to create a condition which deserves immediate urgent attention. So at Sesame, while we were exposed to this situation, our first step was to start questioning what is it that we're wanting to do? What are the planning strategies? What kind of messaging would we like to give out? Who is this messaging intended for? Would we want to give messages that are already there? All of us know that there is messaging related to hand washing, related to hand sanitizing, related to social distancing. So it was critical to think about the messaging aspect. किसके लिए क्या message आना चाहिए? Is one message or one singular kind of a profile going to fit everybody? We also had to think about in terms of demographic variation. What is it that children in the urban areas need, and what is the messaging that children in the rural areas would benefit? Would we have to reach out for children and caregivers with specific messaging which is specific for women and men, messages which are for now immediate response versus messages which go beyond? What would be applicable? What kind of support would parents, children, caregivers need in 6 months from now, and probably in the next 1 year from now? We all know that Corona has created a situation which is here and which needs desperate tackling, and it would be something that has to be dealt in a very careful manner, and it is here to stay. There would be an entire shift in approach in the way we deal with various educational systems this point and on. So the questions were many. We had to think about the messaging, the delivery mechanism, what kind of opportunities we have, what is it that we can achieve, scale it, what kind of support that we can offer, and what kind of support can we reach out for reach out to other government, non-government agencies. What are the other organizations doing? The idea was to think about all of this before jumping in, before just start making content and thinking about different strategies of putting it together and just putting it out there. So these were some of the questions which guided us on how to go ahead, on our planning ahead. And let me also bring in that this is not an exercise that we just did in Sesame Workshop India. This is a global survey with the other 16 branches of Sesame Street across the world. The results, the collaborated results are yet to come in, But yes, for India, we did a extensive exercise, got everybody on board in our organization to think about some of these questions and come up with strategies. Some basic considerations that we had was to ensure that the platforms need tailoring. Let us not tailor the content that children receive, but let us decide on how we can tailor the platform. For example, an ebook can go out on YouTube or it can go out on our website, but can we have an audio format of the same ebook that can be done on a radio platform or on an IVRS platform? How can we shift between high tech, low tech, no tech platforms to reach out to the lot? We also thought about the facilitation point of view. At this point in time, where parents are heavily burdened with so many responsibilities, and it is a new situation, novel situation for them, they are struggling between a lot of things. It is important that the content that we provide specifically for children perhaps can require low or no facilitation, which means that if a child is seeing a video or an infographic or skimming through a book, can we look at producing that content in a way that the parent facilitation required for that is minimal? Um, we had to think through these kind of options. The idea was that the content, no matter what it is, no matter what platform it is, should be very simple, very focused, and fun. That is the essence of everything. It should be fun. It should be something that demands attention. And I'll be happy to, as I go through my presentation, I'll be happy to take you through some of this content. Like I mentioned previously, multilingual content was also something which was on our radar. Whatever content we have, can it be produced across multiple languages? Working in this field since long, we already have a lot of content in different Indian languages, including Telugu, including Urdu, Malayalam, Marathi, Gujarati, etc. But yes, to ensure uniformity, to ensure that all this content is far reaching, moves across India, we would have to start translating, dubbing content, the parts that are not available in other languages. And the last thing on our mind was to make sure that the content that we provide is not very burdensome. It's there, it goes out to children, it is fun, they engage with it. It is not something which follows a sequence that you have to attempt or watch or view a video one or an activity one or complete a certain set of activities to go into the next set of activities. So yes, very bite-sized, very modular, standalone content. So these were some of the considerations that we kept in mind while reaching out, while planning our reach out strategy. The next thing was to develop a thematic framework to address what matters the most. What we found and what our background research told us was that firstly, ECCE, ECCD being much ignored. There is hardly an attempt to reach out to children. If there is an attempt to reach out to children, a lot of the efforts focus on education, focus on the ABCs, the numbers, the math, the shapes, and in a very rote learning fashion. So our idea was to draw up a thematic framework. What do we want to get across? What thematic themes are we looking at? What kind of a curricula are we looking at? Reach out to children. So these are the 4 dimensions that we highlighted. The first one goes as knowledge and prevention about corona. Just the basic, and another thing is that all our content goes out, most of our content is directed towards children, but a lot of it is also for the parents and caregivers. So if it's something like information on corona, it goes out through both. For parents, it would be something like how much should you talk to a child, what should you talk to a child. एक बच्चे को आप कितना बता सकते हैं और कितना बताने की जरूरत है. You do not want to go overboard with a lot of information, even if it is scientifically, factually correct. So just understanding that how do I talk to my child about this? Understanding that I need to talk to my child about this. Then going on to basic prevention steps, something like hand washing, the why, the how, the when, but in a very child friendly way. Something like, okay, let's sing your favorite song and wash our hands. or this is the way that we can do it. So our Muppets, our furry characters are the ones who bring out these messages. Then there's something on sneezing and coughing etiquette. The sample of this particular message would be what you'll see ahead of this slide. And social distancing. This is one of the critical points to understand it from the perspective of a child. Like Ashish addressed, for children, it is a very novel situation. They have questions in their head. What is it? Why am I not being allowed to go outside? Is it summer holidays? Is this some other kind of a vacation? Why are we not stepping outside the house? Why can't I meet my friends? So just understanding from that perspective that for a child, what does social distancing mean? And how can we talk to a child about this? So for the parents, the messaging would be this. For the child, we ourselves would try and address social distancing in a very child-friendly, fun-oriented way. So, okay, sorry for that. Okay, yeah. This is an infographic where Elmo, one of the Muppets, talked to his mother about what Corona-19 is. So COVID-19, so it gives out a basic message where the mother asks or needs to ask the child that, what do you know about it? Or what have you heard about it? Understand that child has been hearing about the buzzword Corona from a lot many sources, from TV, from your personal talks, everywhere. So you need to ask the child, what is it? What do you feel about it? What do you know about it? And then give very basic child-friendly information which the child can comprehend. Something as simple as what is here, that it's a virus, it is something that can make you unwell, it is, and this is what you need to do to take care of yourself. Just don't touch your face, your eyes, your nose very often. Wash your hands. When do you wash your hands? And the message also goes out to the parents that it is important for you to stay informed, to know what to talk to the child, and to be there with the child, to comfort the child. So something like सुनिश्चित करें कि बच्चे सुरक्षित महसूस कर रहे हैं, etc. So these are the kind of messages. This is one sampler infographic which could be sent either through WhatsApp, through social media, or whatever platforms. Similarly, if I go into this is another audiovisual PSA which talks about the sneezing etiquette. So
अपने दोस्त ग्रोवर के साथ छींकना सीखें। सबसे पहले महसूस करें कि आपको छींक आने वाली है। फिर अपनी कोहनी को अपने नाक और मुंह की तरफ ले जाएं। उसके बाद गॉड ब्लेस यू। 1, 2, 3। याद रखना, अपने कोहनी या बाह में छींकना, हाथों में नहीं।
ख्याल अपनों का is the theme that is on. And this is another YouTube infographic which also talks about hand washing and hand sanitizing. Just a second.
हेलो जी। साबुन और पानी तुम्हारे दोस्त हैं, पक्के दोस्त। साबुन और पानी साथ मिलकर तुम्हें कोरोना वायरस से बचा सकते हैं। अपने हाथ अक्सर धोएं, खाने से पहले, शौच के बाद, बाहर खेलने के बाद। अपने हाथों को 20 सेकंड तक रगड़ रगड़ कर अच्छे से धोएं। अपना मनपसंद गाना गाने का ये सही समय है।
I'll stop at that for the content piece. All this would be available to you eventually. It is also there on our microsite. The link will follow in the presentation slides coming up ahead. Moving ahead, being very cognizant of the time. The second theme was social emotional care and well-being, where we identified 4 themes: reassurance, regulation, routine, and resilience. Reassurance for the child, the message goes out that the child needs to feel safe. Something like, तुम safe हो, there are people who are there to take care of you. आपके बड़े, आपके parents, आपकी गवर्नमेंट सब कुछ कर रही है आपको सेफ रखने के लिए. So that reassurance, that feeling of comfort that a child needs to have. And then recognizing that it is okay to have these big feelings. It is okay to feel confused. It is okay to feel tense. And this messaging is not only for the child, but also for the parents. Our specific content pieces also talk to parents that, it is okay, and acknowledging that you're having stress. It is okay to have stress, and empathizing with them for this. Also offering strategies to regulate, manage conflicts, manage emotions with simple strategies as good as belly breathing, as good as just taking a second to calm down, count 1 to 10, or drawing out your emotions, or any other strategy of stepping into somebody else's shoes and understanding. The theme of regulation is also intended for children, where we talk about the difference between needs and wants, helping a child delay gratification, helping a child understand that this is a time of stress. This is a time where not every want can be met and not every need can be gratified immediately. So very simple messaging around this, messaging for parents and children around routine, even in these unprecedented times, helping the child have a simple routine, as simple as what the child does in the morning after waking up, and ensuring consistency across that routine. It goes a long way in creating stability and security for the child. And the last part of it was resilience, to build skills for conflict resolution, some of which I just mentioned, like belly breathing, like counting 1 to 10, or like drawing out your emotions, etc. Content samplers on this would be over here. So what I've shown you over here is an article for parents on the extreme left, स्वस्थ, सुरक्षित और महफूज देखभाल कर्ता के लिए सुझाव. And over here, the other two content pieces are simple, downloadable, printable sheets for children. The first one is to just help them acknowledge that they are safe. They have a suraksha chakra around them. They have people, मददगार, समाज सेवक, परिवार, दोस्त जो उनकी मदद के लिए हैं, उनको identify करना, उनसे बात करना. And the last one, Elmo ki Rangeen Chappi, is very simple. It just gives the message that if you're overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, just go give a hug to your child, or the child just go give a hug to your parents. This would be an example of an audio PSA, a public service announcement, which is really short, but it brings about this aspect. So, and can go on radios, etc.
ओह हेलो दोस्तों, मैं हूँ तुम्हारा प्यारा सा नीला सा दोस्त ग्रोवर, और तुम सबके लिए मैंने बनाया है एक छोटा सा मजेदार सा कोरोना से डरो ना गाना. बड़े करें घर से काम, बच्चों की स्कूल से छुट्टी, कोरोना वायरस से बचने की यही है बेस्ट स्ट्रैटेजी. साथ में खेलो कूदो, खूब करो मस्ती, दूर भगाओ सुस्ती, गपशप बातें सीक्रेट्स बताओ, नई पुरानी बातें कई यादें बनाओ. इस सब के बीच मगर याद रखना एक बात, समय पे उठना, सोना, खाना, खेलना और पढ़ना, जबरदस्त रूटीन तुम बनाए रखना. करो खूब एंजॉय, पर याद रखो रूटीन को मत कहो बाय बाय.
Okay, and this one is specifically for parents to empathize with.
हेलो, मैं हूँ लुई और मैं आपसे कुछ बात करना
टेंट बनाने में एल्मो की मदद करेंगे.
एक सेकंड एल्मो, मैं अभी आया बेटा. अपने बच्चों के साथ समय बिताना कितना अच्छा लगता है, मगर कभी कभी थोड़ी मुश्किल हो जाती है. क्यों? पर मैं आपको बताऊं, आप सभी माता पिता ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है. पर याद रहे, अपने लिए कुछ समय निकालना भी जरूरी है. आप अपना भी ध्यान रखें. आप अपना फेवरेट गाना सुन सकते हैं या फिर बस कुछ पल ठहर कर आराम कर सकते हैं. चलो मेरे साथ एक गहरी सांस लो. पहले सांस अंदर और अब सांस बाहर. अच्छा लगा ना? हम सब अपना बेस्ट कर रहे हैं और ये काफी है. नहीं, बल्कि बहुत अच्छा है ये. आया, बस आया एल्मो, अभी आया. लगता है मुझे जाना होगा. चादर से टेंट बनाने का समय। आप डटे रहें और अपना ख्याल रखें।
अपनों के साथ साथ अपना भी ध्यान रखें।
हाँ।
So that was a video specifically, a short audio visual PSA designed specifically for parents, just to acknowledge their stress, appreciate them for their efforts, and tell them that, excuse me, it is important to take out time for themselves. The next part of the domain was child protection. This is something that we're still working on. We haven't developed a lot of materials around it, but it's on our pipeline. We've put it into 3 categories of recognize, react, reduce. This deserves immediate attention. I'm sure all of us are abreast with how and the situation of children in terms of abuse and neglect worsening during these COVID corona times, during the lockdown times. So again, we would adopt a very systematic, systems oriented approach, reach out to the child, reach out to the parents, caregivers, adults in the community, and even other organizations who are working in this field in the community with children, to just help children and their parents recognize what a situation could be safe or unsafe, recognizing conflicts, recognizing by on the behalf of an adult that children have specific needs and what are these needs, and even helping them recognize what a change in behavior pattern or a sign of distress from children could be. Going to move ahead into the continued education. I'm sure all of you are well versed with it, with the various themes that come under education. These are some of the ebooks, some of the activity sheets that are available. The idea has also been to think of immediate short-term and long-term needs, including what the situation would be a month or a couple of months down the line, what kind of needs would be. So we're also developing content with regard to that. Our existing content kitty, some of which you saw, were includes all of this that is mentioned on the screen, and over 90 resources. What we are hoping is to partner with multiple organizations, some of which we already have, some are in the pipeline. We're hoping to reach out to the community with our content material digitally, and even in terms of sharing hard learning kits, print copies with children. We have an existing warehouse full of materials, some of them which have been showed to you right now. Sesame does not do on-ground implementation, but we're hoping to collaborate with other organizations who are working in community. And these organizations could be of whatever nature. These could be even somebody who's just distributing ration. Could they take our storybooks or a coloring book or a coloring sheet or any other content piece along with their ration supplies and give it out to the children? The attempt is to reach out. Also, all the content that has been showed right now is available on the Sesame microsite. The link is in the following. You'll find the link over here. I will also put it on the chat window. All of this is available. It can be made, and this is pro bono. It can be made available to anybody who is interested. You can reach out to me directly. My email ID is over there if you're interested. We just have a simple formality of signing up for the content, which basically means that the contract basically says that the content would not be sold or duplicated or unscrupulous use. Other than that,
Sure.
there is no other hidden thing, and you can reach out directly to us or to me to access this content. The link to the microsite is here. I'll also post it on the chat window.
Thank you so much, Sapna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to see such child-friendly content. So that gave us a bit of insight into अलग-अलग तरीके के content जो बन रहा है, what is possible. Some of this is on mainstream media already. So let's move now to hear from 3 partner organizations that are on the field, and we'll hear some more from the implementation perspective, what's been working and what are we learning. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker and bring on Vivek. Yeah, all right, Vivek's got his video on. So I know Vivek from TFIX, from a Teach for India program that he and I met through. Again, a very, very dear friend, and I see a lot of who he is really comes alive in his program. So a real focus on holistic learning, on mindfulness, on really getting in touch with emotions and keeping relationships and emotions at the center is what I've understood about some of Vivek's priorities at Shamtale. So over to you, Vivek.
Thank you so much, Romana. I'm so glad to be here. I really like the webinar series called Emergent Needs of Children. I think it's really time to really go and ask them. And the paradox has been that, one is that we have not been able to reach to children and we are designing content for them. So that is something that's really, really, something that we have been thinking every day that, is this the time to really reach out to them and really figure out what is that they want. To start with, I will be sharing a PowerPoint later. I'm still able to get my hang around how do you talk to a screen? Where's the humor in the conversation? Where's the intimacy in the confirmation? Learning without intimacy, still something that I can't relate to. And PowerPoints, they are extremely powerful, but this is my feeling. There's no point in PPTs. So, I'm an eternal optimist. The intention of this conversation is not to discourage, but open up a alternative dialogue. Some of the questions that I've been seeing in the chat are very relevant. I will not speak a lot about Shamtale, but we work in space of learning, governance, and well-being. We always talk about, when we say bilingual, we often assume the other language is Hindi. The first is obviously English and the other is Hindi. I come from a place where there are 5 lakh Adivasi tribe. It's a one small block in Rajasthan. And now I don't know whether 5 lakh is a scale or not. I think it's a scale if you look. And number matters until they don't. And very often we see that how quickly everything in our world turns into a number, be it a disaster, be it, learning outcome, be it number of, migrant laborers. So those are things that we are really grappling with at this point in time. What I would like to focus, because there's a lot of discussion on online and offline, is that between offline and online, there's a world called learning. And learning before Corona was hijacked by something called outcome. And we have seen how over a period of time, learning outcome has only gone down. The accessibility has gone up, outcome has gone down. And I don't think I need to share any number or data, right? You will have find enough if you Google. The other thing now that is happening is learning is now being hijacked between mediums, whether you should do offline, online, radio. So something that's been really troubling and question that I would like to ask the audience is that the original debate in this, which is learning in itself, I think is again being missed. And that really makes my heart bleed. I can't tell you, have to see me to feel how I've been feeling that, again, the original debate of learning that is getting missed. I will not give any data or number because I said already have. The fact that remains right now is that children are not being a priority and learning is not considered an essential service. But there's one data which I'm curious to know. And, I was making some points while the speakers, previous speakers were sharing, is that how many children of 130 million, which goes to government school, are really missing their teacher or classroom learning. I'm repeating, missing their teachers or classroom learning. I don't have any opinion. I do have some, bias towards what might be happening to them, but I would still be curious if any one of us, or if there's any research, if you could bring it to this conversation, if there has been an organization which has been really figuring out, reaching out to children through, phone or radio to understand how much they are missing the school and teachers. The fact also is that it's not that children were learning in school. So let's not create a havoc that schools are closed and suddenly in 1 month we have to create, 10,000 years of content. Slightly I'm being sarcastic, but I hope you get the feeling behind my emotion. The biggest question for us, and again, I would like to reinstate, this conversation I'm part of. I would like to ask more questions because, I will not pretend to have any answers, to be honest. But we will, over the period of our discussion, I will share what we have been trying to do. The biggest question for us has been the content which was not able to engage children in person. Now we are hoping that the content would engage them offline, right? Which required certain independence. Imagine even if every children on this planet has a Wi-Fi and internet, learning through an online medium requires an agency, independence, motivation. There are a lot of other factors which also play. And something that I also started the discussion, that what does our children really need? And something that I can't overemphasize, what is the emergent need? And I don't claim that I had discussions with thousands of children, but definitely 100 children while I was in Kotra, which is again a remote block in Rajasthan, a tribal block. They were not missing. They are meeting their friends. We have to understand that 70% of population still resides in village. And even if you look at the COVID-19 data, most of the cases are coming from city. I'm not saying that there are cases not in villages, but they're not being tested. So the lockdown is very different in village. So children are moving out, they are meeting. What they are missing is the connection. What they are missing is to be seen. What they are missing in this entire lockdown chaos is being acknowledged that they are also alive. Let's talk about them. Let's talk to them. So these are something that I've been kind of, discussing and meeting. Again, not 10,000 children. I don't have any empirical evidence, but something that, straight comes from their heart. Children are going, in fact, I've been asking doctors that, they are swimming together. Is there a chance of catching corona? They said if only if they go under the water. If they are above the water, it's fine. So I've been also kind of, really exploring those things. And one of the most important piece, and I don't know, I need to ask you guys, and please, if there's a question answer session, are we again rushing through the content, academics, social emotional learning, protection, and trust me, I'm really curious. Is this a time to really ask and pause and do very small conversations, right? In 6 months, something that is the challenge for last 70 years, we can't solve that in 3 months, right? So let's 3-4 months, if schools are not opening, can we have a different narrative? Can we have a new narration with them? And last point, I don't was sorry for the podcast, I can't see you, so it seems like a podcast, is how about parent and teacher? Amazing, amazing that we have very quickly turned onto teachers who we have been saying, yeah, the whole problem lies with this teacher. They are not motivated. All the teacher training workshops that we have been doing for last 30 years, I think we need to find what kind of budget has been gone into. And now we are saying these teachers suddenly will, be superman and superwoman and extremely motivated and, do online teaching. For a pause, are they vehicles to reach to children? Are we making them a vehicle? And now parents, again, parents which we thought they're illiterate, uneducated, we need to really work with them. Suddenly we are saying parents as learning partner, amazing. I'm just kind of amazed, even kind of amazed by my own hypocrisy, to be honest. Even we are trying to reach and putting, so I will put myself first and I will not question you, I'll question myself. So is it also important right now to think what kind of content, what kind of need does our parent and teachers have? If we are not reaching out to them and they are best placed to reach to students, they will carry that anger, they will carry that chaos, they will carry that irritation to children. So how do we prioritize content for teachers and content for parents? These are few things that I've been grappling with. And with that, I will end my podcast and open up the PPT, again, an attempt to see what we have been trying to do. There are no empirical evidence, so don't worry to kind of note down anything. Give me a moment. Yeah, where is, I find it so difficult. In fact, I was kind of figuring out that it consumes 2 GB for a 2-hour Zoom call. I don't think we have discussed that. I don't know if there is some observation or data around that 2 GB for 2-hour Zoom call. I don't know how we are doing a lot of online learning. And this is something that I discovered this morning. So please also suggest if you have come across that, how do we really reach out to children and also provide them data apart from relief packets? Yeah, so this is the title, Learning Amidst a Crisis. And one of my favorite word, in fact, in last 4 or 5 years, when I've started to knowing myself a lot more, is building authentic connections. And such a painful thing, right? You have to kind of, explore your own ugly side before you really build connections with someone else. And Romana on this, panel has seen the both sides. Sorry, Romana, to bring you in. I just wanted to distract audience a bit. Yeah, so that's what we have been trying to do. We have partnered with a local community radio. Now, as Ashish said, that radio also is online. But what our understanding has been that, and I'm just saying this a very neutral way, that governments in various states have provided Geo mobiles, which might not be an Android phone, but they have access to radio on their phone. So a lot of people on radio, a lot of people on the phone, they use radio to listen to music. So that's why we thought, how about exploring community radio? We were fortunate to have Radio Madhuban in our geography. I do realize and I understand that not every community have community radio, and the radio which are stationed in city, they have a limited reach. So we are very fortunate. We're also very fortunate that Radio Madhuban has been very kind to partner with us and host the content. But radio is only one way, because whatever we are doing is creating audio sessions, and these audio sessions, the way we are reaching to communities are multiple. So one is radio, the other is we are exploring is because we see towards the end of the day, it's very hot, by the way, in Rajasthan. I'm not sure about the other parts of the country. Children do come around the evening time, around the hand pump or around the pond. So having jeeps around those areas at that point in time and playing this audio session, because these are also relevant to parents and teachers. As I said, this is not something that we have tried to kind of have an integrated approach. So that's another medium. The third medium, obviously, we are using, exploring to get to parents even who has non-Android mobile. So that's the third. The fourth, and very interesting, again, a great time to explore the democratic structures of the country. Sarpanch and Ward Punch. Again, most of my context is rural, so I'm not sure how many of you might be aware. The Ward Punch, who used to only surface every 5 years, now suddenly they are the most relevant people in the community, because anything that they want, people in the community want, they are reaching to Ward Punch. They are saying, hey, we need this, because it's difficult for them to reach out to the block, which is 30 kilometers far from their village. So now, and they are the one who mostly understand Hindi, they have certain influence. So we are also kind of, creating this Sarpanch and Ward Punch circle. This is under exploration. We'll get back to you if at all we are called for next webinar to share learnings from them, that they are creating circles of 5, because 5 is allowed, and they are kind of playing. And in fact, this morning we got where, one of our ground facilitator played a radio, and there were 5 children maintaining social distance. And it was very encouraging. So there are multiple ways in which we are trying to reach. The basic philosophy is audio, how we can reach through audio, and listening as learning. So something also that we discovered, that when we are learning through screen, we are guided by what is happening on the screen. And again, no research, please help me. My intuitive understanding has been that it somehow curbs imagination, because then you are only able to extrapolate what you have seen. When you are listening, your mental muscles of imagination slightly have more chance to expand, because you're listening and you can, it's like a book, right? When you read, it's very different from author's perspective. It's the perspective that you want to have. So that is something that, we also want to do post-corona, that how we really, build listening skills. And, of all the skills that are being taught in schools, I don't think there's any assessment that we do on listening. And we still expect children to listen. But what we assess is writing and, comprehension. But are children listening when you are saying something? So that's also something that, we have thought, and why I'm sharing this, to give you a context that, it's not just that we have taken up radio as a medium and started something. It's a lot of thought has gone into this. Again, for a context, which is, tribal area in Rajasthan, not at all something that we are hoping that we want to reach across India. But there has been quite encouraging response from, Kolkata and Delhi, where they find the content even relevant to them. Because, so one of the examples that I can give.
Sorry, Vivek, before you continue, just want to bring your notice to time. So, soch lena what you want to cover in the next 3 or 4 minutes, and if you can try to wrap up under 5. Your
5 minutes is a lot of time. PPT is nothing. Don't worry. Thank you, Roman.
Okay.
So one of
Less
the examples, less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the examples that we got this morning is that one of the mother messaged that her child was eating while listening to this. So, these are small things and we are not getting carried away, but we are hoping to create more such moments where community learning can happen. Um, Again, with us, you will only have questions. So these are the questions which prompted us to act. Whose need is online learning? Is it our need? When our, I say, civil society organization, or really children's need? And other question, I think I've already said few of the questions that has been coming on the chat as well. How do we reach those who are not in the matrix of World Wide Web? So these are the questions that I've already asked. So we can skip this slide and I go to this community radio, listening to learn. Again, something that I've shared with an intention to reach communities with no or low internet, to build connection. That's the foundational thing. And I will give you a sample of the content, though it is integrated with NCRT, because we also want to stay relevant, right? We don't want to do anything and then no one is. So we have kind of done some integration with the NCRT. These are the 3, 4, 5 things that I've said. Build the mental muscles for imagination, more accessibility, easy to navigate. Yeah, even today I struggle how to यार कैसे इसको स्क्रीन शेयर करो तो फिर ये जो बाकी पार्टिसिपेंट्स है वो कहीं और चले गए हैं, फिर कोई बटन दब जाए, and then continuously seeing to the screen, you have headache after 2 hours. Community learning, parent, teacher, everyone can sit sometime and just listen to something, and then contextual, very important. I think children learn from the context, not the content, and this is not something that I have come up with. This is research based. I can't quote where I've read this, but I've read this somewhere. This is the framework. There is a meditation which starts with, then there's a kahani, which is again very thematic, which even Sesame was sharing. Then there is a simple fun activity, check for understanding. Then there's a sargam siksha, there's a song, which we are kind of, writing content on in-house. I will just play this for 1 second. घूमना फिरना पहाड़ चढ़ना कैसे होगा ये ओ मेरे यार तुझे ढेर सारा प्यार ओ मेरे so this is a song and this is another 1 second.
मुन्नी अपने परिवार के साथ कब सो रही थी, उसे बहुत मच्छर काट रहे थे, उसने लाइट बंद कर दी, तभी अंधेरे में उसे एक जुगनू आता दिखाई दिया और वो चिल्ला कर बोली, होशियार, मच्छर टॉर्च लेके आ रहा है.
So these are the some things which towards the end there's a pitara which kind of engages them, which are riddles from their stories, and then last we ask some questions. So this is how 30 minutes look like. We are encouraged to do a 1 hour long to integrate more of NCRT. So that we can do something with the government as well, because they are the biggest NGO and we want to partner with them, and they are also doing Shiksha Vani. So yeah, and we have got very encouraging responses from them as well. This is their normal design. All this thing can be shared. What is the segment, what is the theme, and then 3 minutes. तो मधुबन भूलना मत, भीकू, सलमा, भूरी और भोला रोज आपका इंतजार करते हैं 2:30 बजे 90.4 FM पे, सोमवार से शुक्रवार. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivek. I was still on mute. Lovely. I think lots of really, really well articulated questions. I'm going to take, I think I resonated with many of them, and many of them I'm going to take away and spend some time with. And yeah, I hope it was a beautiful invitation to the group to really pause and think about what is learning really? What is the learning that matters? For children and for us, what is the learning that matters? Thank you for that, Vivek. Going to call another friend, Ravi. Ravi is the co-founder of iSaksham. We'd love to have you next, Ravi. Ravi works in Bihar. I've had the opportunity to see some of this work in action and meet some of the young people that Ravi works with, as well as the children and families. So would love to hear, Ravi, how things have been for your communities in Jamui and Munger, and what innovations have been working for you in reaching and staying in touch with your children. Over to you, Ravi.
Sure, Romana. Hi, everyone. This is Ravi. I co-founded iSaksham. iSaksham work in Munger and Jamui districts of Bihar. And our model is to work with rural youths and we develop them as community edu leaders to work with children and community. So with very wonderful background said by Ashish and Vivek, I think my job is very simple. So what I'm going to do is against the backdrop of those questions and constraints that have already been highlighted, my attempt would be to share a small effort which we could roll out during the period of this crisis and उससे हमें क्या learning मिली है and how what relevance it can have for organizations in different rural parts of the country or underserved geography. So just learning from some of the questions thrown by Vivek, we were also struggling just immediately 2 weeks after the lockdown कि अब क्या करें, all of a sudden पढ़ाई बंद हो गई है and for like a for-profit business organizations, cash flows are important. So for not-for-profit organizations, I mean, there is always an itch to see कि क्या impact हम कर पा रहे हैं, कुछ काम हो भी रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है, and then कैसे होगा was a huge question mark. So our first step was to reach out to parents, to reach out to community, and actually get sense of the pulse कि हो क्या रहा है field पे. So what we did, we fetched 500 contact numbers out of our students' database and called parents. We were a bit sensitive कि situation थोड़ी tight है, पता नहीं family में किस level का stress होगा and how we should strike that conversation related to education, where parents will be willing to take it forward or not, what would the students' response be and how will we be able to reach out to them. So with these sort of small doubts in mind and a small questionnaire, we started dialing in parents. This was our first step towards this effort. And to much of our delight, we realized that 70% of kids, parents we talked to, we found that 70% of children were already involved in some sort of learning activities. So to a response to a simple question like, क्या बच्चा अभी घर पे पढ़ रहा है? 70% of parents said yes. कितनी देर पढ़ रहा है? 1 से 1.5 घंटे. क्या करता है? तो कुछ करता है. बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान से नहीं देख पाए हैं. कुछ होमवर्क बनाता है या किताब से कुछ करता रहता है. So our first insight was there is an opportunity for better facilitation. There is a platform available to leverage. So we have children who are engaged in some sort of learning activities. We have parents who are willing to contribute, and 50% of those parents had access to smartphones or basic geophones. So which would mean some kind of digital technology intervention can happen, but then sole reliance on digital technology would mean that another 50% of children would be left out. तो कुछ तो ऐसा करना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे access to technology is not a constraint, but we are also able to reach out to children and leverage that community of parents and caregivers जो बच्चों के पास भी day-to-day basis पे हैं. So after getting those insights and those basic principles of how our intervention would look like, हमने 3-4 चीजें करनी शुरू की. So as I said, iSaksham model is to build rural youths, mainly females, as community edu leaders. We have built a cadre of 100 such edu leaders. So उन लोगों के साथ हमने पहले उनकी training करनी शुरू की, because the response was, because the context was very new, it would have been very difficult for facilitators to jump on it right from day one and then reimagine कि वो बच्चों को बिना पास में आए, बिना क्लासरूम में आए, बिना फिजिकल प्रेजेंस के कैसे पढ़ा पाएंगे. So we started doing a small pilot with them with their virtual learning. So we created small learning groups. WhatsApp पे उनकी ट्रेनिंग होनी शुरू हुई of how to do story telling. कौन सी ऐसी चीजें होंगी जिसको वो ध्यान में रख को पढ़ा सकते हैं. They would definitely be going through basic phones and calls, because सिर्फ इंटरनेट पे अगर हम रिलाई करते हो तो 50% बच्चों तक नहीं पहुंच पाते, and even then there would have been constraints on कि content भेज भी देंगे. So how would we ensure कि बच्चे एक्चुअली पढ़ रहे हैं और एक्चुअली सीख रहे हैं. तो बिना ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन के इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन. द फैसिलिटेशन वुड बी की. सो एक ह्यूमन एंगल डेफिनेटली होगा और टेक्नोलॉजी वैसी होगी जो हम सब तक पहुंच सके. तो एक बेसिक फोन कॉल के थ्रू वी विल रीच आउट टू चिल्ड्रन. दिस इज द चॉइस दैट वी मेड. डिजिटल कंटेंट हम सिर्फ शेयर करेंगे, बट जो हमारा सेशन प्लान होगा वो इस तरीके से बिल्ट होगा विच इज गाइडेड टुवर्ड्स अ लर्निंग एक्टिविटी एंड इज नॉट मेड डिसेमिनेशन ऑफ डिजिटल कंटेंट. एंड उस सेशन प्लान की जो लर्निंग एक्टिविटीज होनी चाहिए वो ऐसी होनी चाहिए कि यूथ उसको अच्छे से करा पाएं बच्चों के साथ, बच्चे समझ पाएं, एंड देन दे शुड आल्सो बी एनकरेज्ड टू टेक सपोर्ट ऑफ फैमिली, so that parents हैं irrespective of their literacy levels they are able to engage with children. So with these four key pillars we started our intervention. So before coming up with before sharing some of the initiatives that our educators took, I will just give a glimpse of the session plan that we prepared and how these core principles are reflected in the session plan. I hope the screen is visible. The session plans are in Hindi, built on an alternate academic calendar released by NCERT. And I'll just quickly scroll through to give a sense of what are the topics we tried to cover. So for example, in Hindi, the idea was to do a shared reading, storytelling, जो ये यूथ बच्चों को सुना पाएं, या बच्चे के साथ अगर पेरेंट्स हैं, दादी माँ हैं, वो लोग इन कहानी को सुना पाएं और बच्चों के साथ लर्निंग एक्टिविटीज कर पाएं. तो कहानी सुनाने के साथ साथ वी शुड बी एबल टू गाइड देम कि किस तरह की एक्टिविटीज घर पे हो सकती है और कैसे होमवर्क बच्चे कर सकते हैं. So I'm just scrolling through some of the topics for a day-wise session plan that we prepared to give some structure to the intervention. So for example, math में जैसे simple क्या अंदर है, क्या बाहर है, ऊपर नीचे क्या है, rhymes बच्चे कैसे कर सकते हैं, and give a glimpse of कि ये पढ़ने से, ये session plans लेके आने से बच्चों में किस तरह के outcomes आएंगे. इसकी clarity जो facilitators हैं उनको होना चाहिए. जिनके पास स्मार्टफोन है उनके साथ वो क्या करेंगे, जिनके पास स्मार्टफोन है उनके साथ वो क्या किस तरह की एक्टिविटीज को करेंगे. मीडियम ये होगा करने का कि दे विल डू अ कॉन कॉल, स्मॉल ग्रुप्स में फोन पे ही 8 से 10 बच्चों का एक छोटा सा ग्रुप होगा जो कॉल पे ज्वाइन करेंगे. तो जस्ट टू गिव यू ब्रॉड कंटेंट ऑफ द सेशन प्लान, तो किस डिजिटल कंटेंट से मैप्ड है वो हमने शेयर कर दिया शुरू में. फिर बच्चे को उसी डिजिटल कंटेंट की कहानी से जुड़ना है. तो फैसिलिटेटर्स पूछेंगे कि आप फॉर एग्जांपल इफ इट इज अ टॉपिक ऑन एनिमल्स, तो आप कौन कौन से जानवर को जानते हैं, किस तरह के जंगली जानवर को आपने देखा है, पानी में रहने वाले जानवर कौन से. सम वेरी कॉन्वर्सेशंस व्हिच फैसिलिटेटर्स आर एबल टू स्ट्राइक विद चिल्ड्रन. फिर वो बच्चों को कहानी सुनाएं, आप बातचीत करें. सो देयर आर क्वेश्चंस टू गाइड दोस कॉन्वर्सेशंस. And then the homework. So homework is for a different learning level of children. So अगर प्रारंभिक से अक्षर तक बच्चे पढ़ सकते हैं तो वो किस तरह का होमवर्क करेंगे. अगर बच्चे ऐसे हैं जिनकी राइटिंग कॉम्पिटेंसी थोड़ी ऊपर है तो वो किस तरह के होमवर्क और एक्सरसाइजेस करेंगे, वो कैसे पेरेंट्स की हेल्प ले सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I would like to draw attention to this particular assignment which says माँ पापा या घर में किसी और से पूछकर आप घड़ियाल के चित्र बनाएं. किसी और से पूछ के पानी में क्या क्या ऐसा होता है जिसे हम खाते हैं. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हाट टाइप ऑफ फूड और फ्रूट्स विच आर वाटर बॉर्न, जिसके बारे में हम बच्चों को जानकारी दे सकते हैं. So I will also share a small glimpse of an audio clip which is a snapshot of a telephonic conversation between a facilitator and the children. I'll just run it for a minute.
करके दिखाइए. बहुत बढ़िया. कौन सा जानवर का आवाज था? बहुत अच्छा. और किसको सबसे अच्छा आवाज निकालने आता है जानवर का? बकरी वाला आज निकाले दीदी. हाँ बाबू निकालिए. आज कुमार बकरी कतरने में
So coming back to the presentation, and this was just one of the snapshot of how this conversation happens over a con call with an objective to drive learning towards a desired goal. So some of other such initiatives being taken by our edu leaders include storytelling through phone, uh, examples of doing mathematic exercise by sharing relevant digital content over a WhatsApp and then calling children to solve those problems, give them conceptual inputs. The third a very interesting initiative taken by one of our edu leaders included her distribution of worksheets through her father's kirana stores. So these are individual efforts being taken by our community edu leaders, but the overall goal was that during the constraints being imposed by the lockdown, how we can sensitize youths from the local community to contribute to ensure that learning uh, continues. So, I mean, the key learning for all of us is we do understand that crisis pushes us to imagine, to be more creative, but our solutions should not be just a knee-jerk response to the emergency. Goal for us at iSextrum would be that if we take this as an opportunity to rethink and redesign, how we can also facilitate efforts by community towards education of children and not see education as something, an activity that can happen only within the confined premises of schools, and how parents and elders can also contribute to the learning of children. So these are the small efforts by taken by us. We'll be very happy to get your inputs, suggestions, comments of how we can further improve the initiative. And if there are individuals, organizations interested to do a similar kind of initiative, we'll be very happy to share our learnings in detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ravi. Really, really simple and so relevant. Leveraging people that are available, leveraging the strengths that lie in families, in young adults, and really keeping learning simple, keeping it relevant, close to children, and just simple and meaningful. Thank you, Ravi. So since we have about 6-7 minutes left, I'd invite us to really maybe just pause. And I think we've heard a lot about the challenges of different contexts. We've also heard some of the struggles of really making things work in a grassroots scenario, and some big questions about what is learning. The rush, can we acknowledge where this rush is coming from to disseminate content, to develop more content, to disseminate content? Is that what learning is? Is that for the short term? So maybe just pause and we can think about what this is leaving us with. All the questions that you have shared with us, we will connect with our speakers, get some answers from them, and share them back. Even in the questions, I think there is quite some pressure, I would imagine we're feeling, especially for our secondary students with the 10th board exam. There's a pressure that's on children for no fault of their own. And I'm wondering what it would take for us to acknowledge that children will have a hard time going into that intense study that the board exams need. So what can we do about that? Once again, a big thank you to our speakers, Ashish, Sukna, Vivek, Ravi. Thank you for making time for this, for all the work that you're doing, for figuring out ways to stay connected with children. And thank you for challenging our thinking.